very lucrative ang market pagdating sa sa lantern making, no? Because Philippine Christmas is more than Catholicism. Philippine Christmas is really part of our culture, you'll see, ma'am. Ngayon, hindi naman dapat Catholic ka para mag-spend ka ng Christmas. You're spending Christmas because you are a Filipino. Na-imbibe na siya sa culture natin. No? Wala nang religion na usapan if we are talking about Christmas in the Philippines. Because Christmas in the Philippines, the Christmas in the Philippines is actually the Filipino Christmas. No? Kaya yun yung sinasabi ko, may mga parol na nakasabit sa mga bahay kahit hindi Catholic. Anybody, any Filipino, attributed sa kanya ang Christmas. So kaya kung makikita mo, if you open a giant lantern, yung isang box niya, it has different color of lights. Minsan may technique din. If you want a color violet in your lantern, isi-switch nilang yung red and blue color ng light bulb. No? So, a technique of ingenuity na we attribute it, ma'am, to folk engineering. Why folk engineering? Because these giant lantern makers were not graduate of interior designer, they're not graduate of architecture, even electrical engineering or engineers, hindi sila graduate ng mga ganyan. They are just plain folks in the community that the tradition of lantern making were passed down from one generation to the next. No? So, building up a giant lantern. I cannot say the making of a giant lantern kasi malaki eh. So, I'd rather attribute it into a building of a giant lantern. It takes a community to build that lantern. So, the beauty and the story of the giant lantern does not only depend on the design and play of lights, color of lights of the lantern, but the story of the community, how they make or build that giant lantern. If you go in San Fernando, so you will see lantern sellers right along the streets. Ang nakakatuwa pala, not all lantern makers can be a giant lantern maker. But a giant lantern maker can be a lantern maker. So meaning, hindi lahat ng gumagawa ng parol dyan sa San Fernando, pwede silang makagawa ng isang giant lantern. Pero ang mga gumagawa ng giant lantern ay pwede silang gumawa ng mga commercial lanterns. So meaning, there is a separate technique of that giant lantern in which I can attribute to folk engineering again. Kasi you will surprise and think, how does this giant lantern work, di ba? Kasi ang alam natin sa commercial lantern, pag sinaksak natin, siya mag-isa niya, magpi-play na siya, magpapatay sindi na, not for the giant lantern. The giant lantern has this very interesting mechanism that we call it rotor. Ano po ba itong rotor na to? Di ba I've told you a while ago that the giant lanterns are mounted in a big truck. Sa big truck. So ano ba yung nasa likod ng truck? So dito yung mga tinatawag natin mga rotor. in which these are tin sheets, cylindrical tin sheets covered with masking tapes. And the masking tapes, the giant lantern maker will put the design in that rotor. So, yung tin sheet na nakabalot ng masking tape na, babakbakan yan so that the tin sheet will be exposed, creating the patterns of the giant lantern. And then, how is the giant lantern connected to that rotor? Each light bulb has a corresponding hairpins. Yung sa buhok, no? The metal hairpins to that cylindrical tin sheet na nakalagay silang ganyan. So that is why if you manually plate it, when the hairpins touches the exposed metal sheet in the cylindrical, iilaw siya dun sa giant. So giant lanterns are manually played. The beauty of watching a giant lantern is also at the back of the giant lantern when you can see the lantern makers dancing and playing those rotors, parang dinadrive nila, no? So that a certain desired pattern and play of lights will be shown in the lantern in front. So just imagine, ma'am, one giant lantern can have 7 to 10 rotors, no? Cylindrical rotors. Imagine that during the competition, you have to play the rotors. Maglalaro ka ng rotor. So, dapat meron ding rotor conductor, parang sa orchestra. Diba? Kasi kapag hindi po properly coordinated ang pag-play ng rotor, sasabog yung pattern ng design sa giant lantern. So, if you can see, ma'am, how folk engineering is really attributed to this playing of giant lanterns. And to add up, hindi lang basta-basta sila magsisindi ng ilaw. There should be an accompaniment of a brass band, no? Of a brass band playing the music. And, well, of course, in the present or modern times, yung mga popular music na they can play it over, no? So, but it's still, San Fernando still retains its brass band accompaniment during the giant lantern competition. So, kung titignan mo, ma'am, you can see parang hindi lang pala basta. Again, it takes also a community to play the giant lantern. No? So meaning hindi lang po plug and play siya. So you need to have a team to make that giant lantern play. With the modern age right now, but di na lang computerized, di ba? So, actually meron naman mga computerized giant lantern that you can easily avail, like right now, the province of Negros Oriental, no, is decorated with a giant lantern and a giant Christmas tree. That's just like a giant lantern. The lantern makers of San Fernando were commissioned by the province, no, to dress up, no, their whole thing, no. Yeah, computerization or this can be of help. But again, why did they still use the manual play of lights? You know what's the reason of the lantern makers? The computerized lanterns limits, no, limits their uh, design and play of lights. Kasi sinasabi nila na, ay, yung gusto naming laro ng mga ilaw, hindi lahat kaya ng computer. So, the complexity, no, of the play of lights cannot be done by the computer. So, kailangan pa rin yung manual play, no? Kasi kapag titignan mo yan, it's a cylinder, so may patterns yan, no, ma'am? May meron kasing time sila na hindi lang sila iniikot hindi lang sila iniikot clockwise. Minsan, may pabalik-balik, counterclockwise, ganon. So hanggang sa, yan. So, they were limited with the patterns of lights and design. Kaya talaga, the very good contribution of these lantern makers of the giant Parol of San Fernando of Pampanga, yung invention ng rotor system. Because the beauty of the lantern depends on the rotor kasi dun siya maglalaro. Dun mo makikita how intricate the lanterns are, how intricate also the play of lights. Here in Pampanga, according to the history sources that nag-precede ang giant lantern, meaning there is a more older tradition before giant lantern, which is a lubenas. This is a procession of lanterns during simbang gabi. And that lubenas, according to the history naman na, came from lighted candles covered, no, during Lanaval fiestas of Bacolor, in which it's celebrated every November, no? Kapag November, you know, the amihan, no? The cold breeze of Christmas, no? Namamatay daw yung mga kandila nila during procession, and then that made them invent a covering of the candles that until eventually it will be attributed for lanterns, and they can display different lanterns along the processional route using that technique, no, of covering the processional candle. So doon nag-start, sinasabi nila here in Pampanga, ang paggagawa ng mga parol na naging eventually giant lantern. And with these commercial lanterns that we know now, but there are challenges for them. There are challenges. Because of this is manual work. Some of the lantern makers, no, yung mga anak nila, because they tend to go to school and nag-graduate na ng mga iba't ibang courses, no? So, yun yung malaking challenges, no? Na sinong next generation that would still do and continue this lantern making of Pampanga.